Hi everyone, I am Dr.N.Sriram. Today I will explain about NDA New Drug applications.
New Drug Application. Introduction. For decades, the regulation and control of new drugs in the United States has been based on the New Drug Application, NDA. Since 1938, every new drug has been the subject of an approved NDA before U.S. commercialization. The data gathered during the animal studies and human clinical trials of an investigational new drug, IND, becomes part of the NDA. When the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, FD&C Act, was passed in 1938, NDAs were only required to contain information pertaining to the investigational drug's safety. In 1962, the Kefauver-Harris amendments to the FD&C Act required NDAs to contain evidence that a new drug was effective for its intended use as well, and that the established benefits of the drug outweighed its known risks. Fundamentals of NDA submission. As outlined in Form FDA 356H, application to market a new drug for human use or as an antibiotic drug for human use, NDAs can consist of as many as 15 different sections. 1. Index. 2. Summary. 3. Chemistry, manufacturing, and control. 4. Samples, method validation package, and labeling. 5. Non-clinical pharmacology and toxicology. 6. Human pharmacokinetics and bioavailability. 7. Microbiology, for antimicrobial drugs only. 8. Clinical data. 9. Safety update report, typically submitted 120 days after the NDA's submission. 10. Statistical. 11. Case report tabulations. 12. Case report forms. 13. Patent information. 14. Patent certification, and 15. Other information, e.g. the marketing history of the drug, if any, outside the U.S., a concluding discussion of benefit/risk considerations and of proposed additional studies or post-marketing surveillance plans, etc. NDA content and format requirements. NDA must provide all relevant data and information that a sponsor has collected during the product's research and development. The FDA has numerous guidelines that relate to NDA content and format issues. These guidelines can be obtained from CDER's, Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, Drug Information Branch, DIB. NDA classifications. CDER classifies new drug applications with a code that reflects both the type of drug being submitted and its intended uses. The numbers 1 through 7 are used to describe the type of drug. 1. New molecular entity. 2. New salt of previously approved drug, not a new molecular entity. 3. New formulation of previously approved drug, not a new salt or a new molecular entity. 4. New combination of 2 or more drugs. 5. Already marketed drug product, duplication, i.e., new manufacturer. 6. New indication, claim, for already marketed drug, includes switching marketing status from prescription to OTC. 7. Already marketed drug product, no previously approved NDA. The following letter codes describe the review priority of the drug. S. Standard review, for drugs similar to currently available drugs. P. Priority review, for drugs that represent significant advances over existing treatments. General requirements. The new, present, NDA regulations require that an application be submitted in 2 copies. A. An archival copy that serves as a permanent record of the submission, and B. A review copy. The review copy is made up of a number of separate technical volumes, each tailored to the needs of the disciplines involved in the review. Both the archival and review copies are submitted in hard copy. The regulations permit an application to submit the archival copy as microfiche. The NDA application form, Form NDA 356H, consists of 12 items, including index, deals with the safety and efficacy features of drug product, 2 are concerned with patent information. The application form is supplemented with detailed, technical guidelines to improve the quality of submissions. The format and content of an application summary. Formatting, assembling and submitting new drug and antibiotic applications. The submission in microfiche of the archival copy of an application. The format and content of the human pharmacokinetics and bioavailability section of an application. The format and content of the clinical and statistical sections of an application. The format and content of the chemistry, manufacturing, and control section of an application. Post-marketing reporting of adverse drug reactions. The chemistry section, because of its length, and highly detailed sections dealing with the manufacturing and control processes, is required to be submitted 90 to 120 days prior to the submission of the application for facilitating the identification of deficiencies in the filed NDA. Submission of chemistry section earlier than 120 days and less than 90 days before the remainder of the application will not be accepted. The archival copy of the application should include a comprehensive index by volume and page number. It is recommended that additional copies of the index be prepared and included with any material submitted to FDA for the NDA. This will easily access locating important parts of the submission that may be needed for meetings/view by individual technical reviewers. Summary. It has been suggested that the summary consists of 50 to 200 pages. The summary should discuss all aspects of the application and needs to be written at approximately level of detail required for publication and meet the editorial standards applied by referred scientific and medical journals. It is advantageous to provide data in the summary in tabular and graphic form with clear explanation of any terminology used in the tabulations or graphics. The safety update reports. The required safety data, from viewpoint of clinical studies, animal studies, other sources generated or reported to sponsor, must be submitted in same format as integrated summary of safety described under clinical data section of the NDA content and format, 21 CFR 314.50. Additionally, the NDA format is required to include case report forms for each patient who died during a clinical study or who did not complete the study due to an adverse event. Safety update reports must be submitted at a. 4 months after the initial submission of an application. b. Following receipt of an approvable letter and c. Other times as requested by the FDA. Chemistry, manufacturing, and controls. Important point is the specific citation needed for the solid-state forms of the drug substance and their relationship to bioavailability. Chemistry, manufacturing, and controls summary must provide a general overview of the drug substance and drug product. Drug substance. Description including physical and chemical characteristics and stability. Drug product. Composition and type of dosage form, manufacture, specifications and analytical methods, container/closure system, stability, investigational formulations. Details are provided in 21 CFR 25.1. Non-clinical pharmacology and toxicology. Non-clinical laboratory studies include any in vivo/in vitro experiment with the test drug to determine its safety, activity, or disposition. This section includes toxicological effects of drugs on reproduction and the developing fetus, ADME animal experiments of the drugs. This section should provide a description, tabulation, and graphics from non-clinical laboratory studies of drug. Human pharmacokinetics and bioavailability. First section, there should be an overall tabulated summary of all in vivo biopharmaceutic studies carried out on the drug grouped by type of study. Second section, the summary of bioavailability or pharmacokinetic data and overall conclusions, Cmax, Tmax, Cal, AUC etc. Third section, list of all formulations used in clinical trials and in vivo bioavailability or pharmacokinetic studies together with each formulation used in studies. Fourth section, analytical methods used to measure the levels of drug and major metabolite. Fifth section, dissolution data on each strength and dosage form for which approval is being sought. A comparative dissolution study with the lots used. In vivo biopharmaceutics studies should also be included. Microbiology. Applicable to anti-infective and antiviral drugs. It should include description of biochemical basis of the drug's action/microbial physiology. Antimicrobial spectra of the drug, including results of in vitro preclinical studies that demonstrate effectiveness. Any known mechanisms of resistance to the drug, including results of epidemiological studies to demonstrate privilege of resistance factors. Clinical microbiological laboratory methods needed for effective use of the drug. Clinical data. This section includes descriptions, summaries, and analysis of clinical pharmacology studies including animal study and toxicology. Controlled clinical studies including the protocol and description of the statistical analyses used to evaluate the studies. Uncontrolled clinical studies, including all necessary details of the studies. Any other data/information relevant to an evaluation of safety and effectiveness obtained from any source, foreign or domestic, U.S. Statistics. Statistics section should include a statistical evaluation of the clinical data. A copy of the data given in the description and analysis of each controlled clinical study, along with the statistical analysis. A copy of the data included in the integrated summary of all available information about the safety of the drug. NDA regulations. Review time frames, 21 CFR 314.100. This time frames includes within 180 days of receipt of an application, the FDA will review and issue an approval, approvable, or not approvable letter. This 180-day period is called the review clock. During the review period an applicant may withdraw an application, 21 CFR 314-65, and later resubmit it. The time period may be extended by mutual agreement between the FDA and the applicant or as the result of submission of a major amendment, 21 CFR 314.60. Filing time frames, 21 CFR 314.101. Within 60 days after the FDA receives an application, a determination will be made whether the application may be filed. This will determine whether sufficient information is provided to proceed with an in-depth review of application. If FDA files the application, the applicant will be notified in written. The date of filing will be the date 60 days after the FDA received the application. The date of filing begins the 180 days period of the review. If FDA refuses to file the application, the sponsor will be given the opportunity to meet with FDA to discuss the reasons why the application is not fileable. Approval of NDAs based solely on foreign data, 21 CFR 314.106. Clinical data will be considered on merit regardless of country of origin. Foreign clinical data meeting U.S. criteria for approval may be approved if the foreign data are applicable to the U.S. population and U.S. medical practice. The studies have been performed by clinical investigators of recognized competence. If an inspection is necessary, FDA is able to validate the data through an on-site inspection or other appropriate means, or the data may be considered valid without the need for an on-site inspection by FDA. FDA will apply this policy according to the nature of the drug and the data being considered. The FDA is willing to explore all areas to remove the need to conduct repetitive clinical testing in U.S. When adequate foreign data have been generated, a pre-NDA submission meeting is encouraged when approval being solely on foreign data is sought. FDA Dialogue on Scientific and Medical Issues, 21 CFR 314.102. Approximately 90 days after the NDA is received, the FDA will provide applicants with an opportunity to meet with reviewers to discuss the general progress and status of the application. Particularly for new chemical entities and major new indications of marketed drugs, this meeting will generally be held at the applicant's option and may be held by telephone. With the issuance of an approvable/not approvable letter, an opportunity will be provided to applicants to meet with the FDA and discuss what further steps need to be taken before the applications can be approved. Priority for these meetings will be given to applications for new chemical entities and major new indications for marketed drugs. NDA pre-approval and post-approval safety reports. In 21 CFR 314.50, d. 5, 6, b. The FDA details the necessity to periodically update a pending application with new safety information which affects the statements of contraindications, warnings, precautions, and adverse reactions in the draft labeling. The safety update reports are required to include the same kinds of information from clinical or animal studies as well as other sources, and must be submitted in the same format as the previously described integrated summary of safety. These safety reports must be submitted as follows. 4 months after the initial submission. Following receipt of an approvable letter. At other times as requested by FDA. In case of any adverse drug experience, the surveillance system requires the reporting of such experience as soon as possible within 15 working days of initial receipt of the information. These alert reports are required to be submitted on Form FDA 1639, Drug Experience Report. All reactions subject to 15-day alert report require follow-up reports within 15 working days of receipt of new information. Even if no such reports are reported, the follow-up reports has to be submitted in separate cover and as a summary/tabular form to be presented in periodic report. NDA holders must review periodically, quarterly for the first 3 years and yearly thereafter, the frequency of adverse drug experience reports that are serious and unexpected and report any significant increase in frequency, e.g. a doubling, within 15 working days to determine whether a significant increase in frequency exists or not. Applicants must adhere to a reporting schedule that calls for submission of each quarterly and each annual report within 60 days of the anniversary date of approval of the application. A 15-day alert report based on information from the scientific literature must be accompanied by a copy of the published article. These literature reports should be either case reports or the reporting of a formal clinical trial. NDA review times. Following deficiencies are typically encountered in drug development. Sponsors do not pursue advice from the FDA regarding their drug development plan. Sponsors routinely move ahead to the next clinical trial without completely analyzing results of the most recent trial. Sponsors sometimes provide a minimal amount of data in an effort to get drug approvals. Computer-assisted new drug application (CANDA). Concept: it is designed to shorten FDA review time by submitting data to FDA in a form ready for manipulation by a computer. Importance is given on the clinical sections of the NDA, as they require the maximum time to review and often require manipulation of the data by FDA. On September 15, 1988 Federal Register Notice, FDA stated to increase the use of computers in field of improving efficiency of the drug review process. FDA had not provided exact blueprint on how to best organize/submit a CANDA, but 2 basis computer systems have been developed so far. Involves keeping the data on a mainframe computer that is operated either by the sponsor/by the computer company assisting it with FDA able to access the information via a telephone connection. Putting the data on a floppy disk, laser disk, etc. for use by FDA via desktop computers that are provided by the sponsor. One possible concern of CANDAs is the possibility of data dredging by FDA reviewers, that is pursuing tangential rather than central issues because the computer makes it easy to do so, but this has not been observed routinely. How to improve NDA handling? Be sure to supply additional, desk copy, submissions of the clinical data section and integrated summaries of safety and efficacy for the medical reviewer, the pharmacokinetic and bioavailability summary for the biopharmaceutics reviewer, the chemistry, manufacturing, and control process summary for the statistician reviewer, and extra copies of draft labeling for the medical reviewer. The submission should be placed in a proper jacket binders, use the proper numbering system. If requested, be prepared to submit for review draft copies for advertising and promotional material to be used in the initial or launch campaign to the Division of Drug Advertising and Labeling, HFN 240. Place the IND, NDA, or petition number on every letter or submission, include supplement numbers where applicable. Submit new information in reviewable bundles or marketed with references suitable to all the material FDA reviewers need to consider in making a decision. This will help avoid lengthy file searches. FDA files are chronological. Submissions stating this replaces, corrects, or updates section or page so and so, do not fit well in the FDA document tracking or review system. Applicable NDA regulations. It is noteworthy to be familiar with the regulations applicable to the NDA. The general NDA requirements are coded in Title 21, Code of Federal Regulations, Part 314. Subpart A contains the general provisions, Section 314.1 to 314.3. Subpart B details the sections for applications as follows. Subpart B. 1. Application. 2. Index. 3. Summary. 4. Technical sections. 1. Chemistry, manufacturing, and controls. 2. Non-clinical pharmacology and toxicology. 3. Human pharmacokinetics and bioavailability. 4. Microbiology. 5. Clinical data. 6. Statistical. 5. Samples and labeling. 6. Case report forms and tabulations. 7. Other. 8. Format of an original application.